You've noticed something strange. The people who chase attention rarely receive it. The ones who speak the loudest are forgotten the fastest. Meanwhile, there exists a certain individual who walks into a room and shifts its entire energy without uttering a single word. What separates these two realities? Most people believe attraction is built through performance, through clever words, through constant effort to be noticed. They believe silence equals invisibility. They operate from a place of lack, desperately broadcasting their value because they secretly fear they have none. You might recognize this pattern in yourself. The urge to fill every silence, the compulsion to prove your worth, the anxiety that whispers if you stop performing, you'll disappear completely. But here's the contradiction that changes everything. True magnetic presence is not created through addition, but through subtraction. Not through doing more, but through being more. The ancient Stoics understood a principle that modern society has completely forgotten. They knew that attraction is not something you generate externally, but something you cultivate internally. It radiates from your relationship with yourself, not from your relationship with others. If you've been exhausting yourself trying to be seen, heard, and valued, I need you to pause that strategy right now and consider this. What if everything you've been taught about creating attraction is precisely backwards? Before I show you the 6 habits that shift this completely, do me one favor. Hit that like button if you're ready to stop performing and start existing differently. 2,000 years ago, Marcus Aurelius sat as the most powerful man in the known world. Yet he wrote privately about mastering his internal kingdom before attempting to rule the external one. Epictetus, born a slave, taught that freedom exists not in your circumstances but in your relationship with them. Seneca reminded us that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. These weren't motivational speakers. They were practitioners of a philosophy designed for one purpose: to build unshakable inner authority regardless of external chaos. At the core of Stoicism lives a simple distinction. There are things within your control and things beyond it. Your thoughts, your actions, your character. These belong to you. The opinions of others, the outcomes of your efforts, the behavior of the world around you. These do not. Most people reverse this equation completely. They attempt to control what others think of them while neglecting the only domain they actually govern, their own inner state. This creates a life of endless anxiety and powerlessness. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotion or becoming cold. It's about relocating your center of gravity from external validation to internal alignment. When you stop needing the world to confirm your worth, something fascinating happens. The world begins to notice you differently. Not because you've become louder, but because you've become solid. What follows are 6 habits that build this solidity without you having to say a word. Habit 1. Controlled reaction speed. The first habit is mastering your reaction speed. Most people operate on autopilot, responding instantly to every stimulus, every provocation, every invitation for emotional reaction. This makes them predictable, easily manipulated, and energetically exhausting to be around. When someone criticizes you, insults you, or attempts to pull you into their chaos, your immediate reaction broadcasts your level of inner stability. Epictetus taught that between stimulus and response lies a space, and in that space exists your freedom. The person who pauses before responding communicates something profound without speaking. They signal that they are not controlled by external forces. They demonstrate that their peace is not for sale. Here's your 72-hour challenge. Before responding to any emotionally charged message, comment, or situation, wait a minimum of 10 seconds. In person, take one full breath before answering any question designed to provoke you. Notice how this simple delay shifts the entire dynamic. You're no longer reacting from a place of defense or need. You're responding from a place of choice. This single habit transforms how people experience your presence. They begin to sense that you cannot be easily moved, and that immovability becomes magnetic. You are not controlled. You are self-governed. Habit 2. Selective availability. The second habit is practicing selective availability. Most people make themselves endlessly accessible, responding immediately to every text, every call, every demand on their attention. They believe this makes them likable, dependable, valuable. In reality, it communicates the opposite. It suggests they have nothing more important happening in their life than waiting to serve others. Constant availability destroys attraction because it eliminates mystery and demonstrates low personal standards. Seneca warned that being everywhere is being nowhere. When you scatter your presence across every request, you dilute your value. The Stoic approach is different. You prioritize your time according to your principles, not according to other people's urgency. Here's your 48-hour practice. Delay non-urgent responses by a minimum of 2 hours. Turn off all notifications for 1 full day. Observe how people begin to respect your time more when you respect it first. Notice how the quality of your interactions improves when you're no longer operating from a place of constant reactivity. This isn't about playing games or manipulating perception. It's about honoring your attention as the finite sacred resource it actually is. People are attracted to those who value themselves enough to protect their energy. Habit 3. Comfortable silence. The third habit is becoming comfortable with silence. Most people fear conversational gaps. They rush to fill every pause with noise, with jokes, with unnecessary explanations. This desperation to avoid silence reveals deep insecurity. It suggests they believe their presence alone is insufficient. Marcus Aurelius observed that the universe is transformation and life is opinion. Your discomfort with silence is simply an opinion you hold, not an objective truth. The person who can sit in silence without squirming, who can let a conversation breathe, who doesn't feel compelled to narrate their every thought, that person radiates a rare confidence. Silence allows others to step forward. It creates space for deeper thoughts to emerge. It demonstrates that you're not performing for approval. Your 24-hour experiment is this. In your next 3 conversations, practice letting silence exist for 5 full seconds, at least twice per conversation. Don't rush to rescue the moment. Observe what happens when you stop treating silence as something to be feared. Watch how people lean in rather than pull away. Notice how the conversation deepens rather than weakens. This habit alone will separate you from 90% of people who cannot stop broadcasting their anxiety through constant verbal noise. Habit 4. Postured presence. The fourth habit is maintaining postured presence. Your body communicates before your mouth ever opens. Slouched shoulders, downward gaze, collapsed chest. These signal defeat, insecurity, submission. Most people have never consciously considered how they occupy physical space. They inherit posture from years of conditioning, stress, and self-doubt. The Stoics understood that the body and mind are inseparable. Epictetus taught that we should behave in life as we do at a banquet, with dignity, composure, proper form. When you stand tall, shoulders back, head level, breathing deep, you're not faking confidence. You're practicing the physical expression of self-respect. This changes how others perceive you instantly. Your 48-hour practice is this. Set 3 alarms throughout each day. When they sound, immediately check your posture. Adjust your spine, pull your shoulders back, lift your chest, level your chin. Hold this position for 60 seconds while breathing deeply. Notice how this physical shift affects your mental state. Observe how people respond to you differently when you carry yourself with physical sovereignty. Your posture is a nonverbal declaration. It says you take yourself seriously, and therefore others should too. This habit requires no words yet speaks volumes. Habit 5. Unbothered detachment. The fifth habit is practicing unbothered detachment from outcomes. Most people are deeply invested in how every interaction unfolds. They monitor facial expressions, analyze tone, replay conversations searching for hidden meanings. This need for certainty and control creates visible tension. It makes them needy, anxious, exhausting. Seneca taught that nothing happens to the wise man against his expectation. He doesn't mean the Stoic predicts everything. He means the Stoic has released attachment to specific outcomes. When you stop needing conversations to go a certain way, relationships to develop at a certain pace, or people to respond in a certain manner, you become unreactive. This unreactivity is profoundly attractive because it's incredibly rare. Here's your 72-hour challenge. Enter every interaction with zero attachment to its outcome. Speak your truth and release control of how it's received. Offer your presence without demanding anything in return. Notice how this internal shift changes the entire energy of your relationships. When you stop gripping, people stop pulling away. When you stop chasing, people begin to follow. This isn't strategy. It's embodied philosophy. You're demonstrating through your energy that your peace does not depend on external cooperation. And that independence is magnetic. Habit 6. Deliberate eye contact. The sixth habit is practicing deliberate eye contact. Most people either avoid eye contact completely or stare aggressively to compensate for internal weakness. Both extremes communicate insecurity. The Stoic holds steady, grounded eye contact, not as a power play, but as a natural expression of being present and unafraid. When you look someone in the eye without flinching, without performing, without agenda, you communicate something fundamental. You're here. You're real. You're not hiding. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When your thoughts are aligned, when you're living with integrity, eye contact becomes effortless. You have nothing to hide and therefore nothing to fear in being truly seen. Your 48-hour practice is this. In every conversation, maintain soft but steady eye contact for 70% of the interaction. Don't stare intensely. Don't glance away nervously. Simply be present with your gaze. Notice how this single adjustment shifts the depth of connection you experience. Observe how people respond with more respect, more interest, more genuine engagement. Your eyes are not just windows to your soul. They're statements of your presence. Make that statement count. You now have 6 habits that create attraction without you speaking a word. Controlled reaction speed that demonstrates you cannot be easily shaken. Selective availability that proves you value your time. Comfortable silence that shows you don't need constant validation. Postured presence that commands respect physically. Unbothered detachment that makes you unreactive. Deliberate eye contact that signals you're unafraid of being seen. Here's the truth most people miss. You don't need to master all 6 simultaneously. One habit, applied consistently for 30 days, will transform how people experience your presence. Choose the habit that challenges you most. That's your growth edge. Commit to 30 days of deliberate practice. Drop a comment right now stating, "I choose habit number," and tell me which one you're committing to. When you publicly declare your commitment, you're far more likely to follow through. If this resonated with you, subscribe to this channel because we're building a community of people who understand that true power is quiet, that real attraction is effortless, and that the strongest presence requires the fewest words. You are not here to perform for the world. You are here to become unshakable within yourself. Everything else follows from that foundation.